KC, and I'm going to show you the long cycle clean and jerk in the girevoy sport style. So, first thing we want to do is set up the bell. We want the bell set up so the handle is angled towards the opposite foot, the side you're using. Alright, now unlike the hardstyle swing, as we bring the bell into the backswing, we're going to rotate our body. Notice that the free arm is coming along for the ride, and from the side view, I also have some flexion in my back. Alright, so I'm not in complete, perfect alignment from my crown to coccyx. I have mild flexion in my back, and I'm rotating as I come into the backswing. This is the first difference. So, if we angle the bell, we hike it back, and then we start swinging. Now notice, in this type of swing, there's a rocking motion with it, and I'm also leading with the elbow. Alright, so in this style of swing, we want to keep the load, a good amount of the load, on the extensors, the back muscles, because since these muscles are postural, they're going to fatigue slower than the prime mover. So if we're doing hard style swings with this, we're going to fatigue pretty quickly. Remember that for girevoy sport, we want to be efficient and we want to get a good amount of reps in for a long period of time. So we want to be very efficient. We're going to load, we're going to rock back with it, and we're going to turn the swing into a little bit of a pull. So as we're coming up, our hips are extending, our knees are extending. I'm gently tugging with my elbow and my shoulder. All right, here's the rock again. My hinge is high, mild flexion in my back. I'm rotating with the bell. We want that elastic recoil. All right, one last note is as I'm coming up, you may come up onto the balls of your feet on the side that you're working. This helps to send the last little impulse into that swing. Almost like you're shooting it from the hip. Right? So with the bell one more time. Breathing, I will discuss. So for hard style, we breathe the biomechanical breathing match. For this style, we want the breathing to be anatomical, meaning we're going to breathe out on the backswing. As our body compresses, we're letting air out. As we grow, as we expand, we take air in. All right, that's how we match the breathing to the swinging movement on this. So, now, the clean for this style is also a little different. As we are bringing the bell up, pulling, tugging with the elbow, what we want to do is lean back slightly and then drop the elbow under. Receive the bell into the rack. Alright? One more time. Drop the elbow under, receive the bell into the rack. Now, this is the big difference. The rack style in this position, we want to get our elbow down to the crest of our ilium and rest there. So, again, unlike the hard style rack where we're very tight, we stay nice and upright against our rib cage, we want to learn to relax our traps, our lats, sink our elbow down to our hip, onto this V line, the crest of our ilium, push our hips forward, keep our knees locked, and lean slightly back. Alright? Now, initially people may wonder why we compromise our back position. And that's because the load isn't on our back, it's on our hip and below. So it probably isn't smart to rack it here and lean back, but if you can sink your elbow down to your hip, rest it on that crest, push your hips forward, knees locked out, this is the position you want to be in. One more time. Rock, drop the elbow under, receive the bell into the rack. Now also look at the position of the bell on my hand. Very deep in my wrist. This is not a competition style bell, but it still works, and there is barely any space between my hand and the bell in there, so very deep, very deep. The deeper we can get it, the better, resting on my hip. Now also, palm rotates slightly out before we go into the jerk. The reason being is this sets us up so we can just move straight up into the jerk. Alright? Now from here, this is a rest position. We want to get comfortable here. We want some glute engagement. All right, hips forward, knees locked out. When we're ready to jerk, we take our dip. All right, knees come forward. We extend our knees, and we take our second dip. So the movement is quite simple. We want to stay connected to our hips for as long as possible. I like to call it shooting from the hip. Right, we're connected to the hips, take our dip. As we extend, we're pushing off the hips. We have that thoracic extension. Our chest is being pushed out, chest bump, as some people like to call it. Accelerating up. Take our second dip by shooting our heels and our butt back to come under the bell and lock it out overhead. We stand up to finish the rep. One more time without the bell. We clean it. We get it into rack, down on our hip. We're locked out, ready to take our jerk. We dip our knees forward, extend, chest bump, shoot under the bell, lock it out. With the bell. Receive the bell into the rack. Onto the hip. Lock it out. Now as the bell comes down, it comes down fast. Re-clean. That's what long cycle is. Onto the hip. Dip the knees. Chest bump. Up. Bell comes down quick. Now, when we bring the bell down, there's two ways we can bring it down. We can let it drop, absorb the impact. But my preferred way is to come up on your tippy toes, meet the bell halfway as you let it drop down, and then come down with the bell. One more time. Into the rack, jerk, receive the bell, re-clean, rest here, you're ready to go. Hips forward, knees locked out, take a dip, chest bump, shoot it up. Out. That is long cycle clean and jerk, one arm.